very tough summer for koalas. Sarah Timevska, ABC News, Adelaide.
For a look at what's making news in print and online this morning, we're joined by Executive Director of the Australia Institute, Ben Oquist. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Lisa. Good morning.
Not a lot of news around this morning.
It's a pretty quiet morning. You have to work hard.
Well, it was meant to be, Parliament coming back was meant to be a big day all about what was happening inside Parliament, inside the chamber. The parliamentary proceedings given over to condolence motion on the bushfires. You're not hearing anything about that, of course, because it's all leadership, and in particular, Barnaby Joyce running for the leadership of the National Party.
A Financial Review among many papers this morning leading with that. It's still very much uncertain as we go to air, Ben, as to whether Barnaby Joyce will have the numbers to topple Michael McCormack.
Yeah, well, that Phil Curry piece that's on the front page of the Financial Review, as you said, across all papers, in his story, he says the 21 National Party MPs are split three ways. Those who back McCormack, those who back Joyce, those who don't like Joyce but think McCormack's doing a bad job. So obviously instability there if you've got a party room split three ways like that. And I thought the leadership bid by Joyce would kind of fizzle out, but Matt Canavan's move overnight to tender his resignation and offer support to Joyce has clearly given him momentum. And whatever happens now, the kind of damage is done to McCormack in some sense anyway.
My understanding is that the Joyce camp is confident of between 9 to 12 or 13 votes. Even if they get as high as 9, you're right, that spells continuing instability, doesn't it, for McCormack?
I think if they get anywhere near 9, it's kind of a terminal for McCormack. He only needs 11 to win.
Yeah, and there'll be a second challenge inevitably based on that.
If he gets anywhere near that figure. And clearly there's some unhappiness. The Australia Institute did some polling a little while back that showed McCormack wasn't very well wide known in the electorate, and so a quarter of the electorate knew who he was. And I think in the age of when One Nation is so strong, there's a push within the National Party for more high-profile leaders that can kind of take on her because they feel the pressure from her at the ballot box.
OK, let's go to the other leadership vote. And full disclosure, you were a former long-term staffer for former Greens leader Bob Brown. We talk about the Greens contest to replace Richard Di Natale. At this stage, only one candidate, so it's pretty straightforward. Yeah,
it looks like Adam Bandt is set to be the new leader of the Greens. I noticed on Sportsbet yesterday he started at $1.90 and was into $1.10 by the end of the day. It seems like there's only one candidate. Interesting though, of course, he'd be in the House of Representatives, not in the Senate. I just was listening to an interview with Richard Di Natale on the way in here, and he was saying that does have its challenges when most of the party is in the Senate, and they're typically a Senate balance of power party. But he was also saying it's a potential opportunity for them to take it up to the Prime Minister, where there's a lot more media attention and focus.
The analysis and various reports on this suggests that, OK, he's leaving, he wants to spend time with his family, as he says. But there is a question mark over whether the Greens could have done better over the last few years, that although their vote might have crept up a little, they weren't increasing the number of seats, and that there is actually a lot of work to be done by the next leader.
I think it's undoubtedly true that the issue of climate change obviously presents a massive opportunity for the Greens, that there's so much attention on their heartland issues. And if they don't capture that attention and galvanise it into votes and support, it can leave them struggling. But as another analysis points out, I think in the Australian today, the next election leaves them kind of well positioned because a number of their senators are not up for election, so they can actually gain senators in states like South Australia and Queensland and New South Wales, where they only have one senator, and that senator's not facing re-election. OK,
let's stay with the Australian to the next topic. It has the woes of the tourism industry front and centre care of the coronavirus, and it looks as though some operators might even go under as a result of this.
It's a massive issue and a massive economic issue. Not just what Australia is doing and the potential effects on tourism and the education sector, but of course China's economy more generally, with its stock market down 8% yesterday, Australia's stock market down 1.3%. Tourism operators here saying if the ban goes on longer than a month, there's $1 billion a hit per week to that sector. And I think the really interesting thing in this story is that leading economist Sherelle Murphy from the ANZ says, given all of this, it is now time to abandon the surplus, and that we need some fiscal firepower in the economy to deal with this. This comes at, of course, when the RBA is meeting today to consider interest
Yes.
rates. Interest rates are at record lows, and there doesn't seem to be much more that the RBA can do to stimulate the economy. So I do think it's significant that Sherelle Murphy from the ANZ has said it's time for the surplus to go.
Love this next story that you want to talk about in the SMH.
So it's just for you two.
Thank you.
Very much. Topic dear to our hearts. Take it away.
Well, a survey by some research out of RMIT says the type of tone of your alarm can make a difference to your mood when you wake up and your grogginess. And that beep, beep, beep type of alarm can actually lead to more grogginess, or the technical term sleep inertia, where instead if you have a more melodic alarm tone, such as they suggest a Beach Boys song or a song from The Cure, that can lead to a kind of better mood when you wake up. I did play the song as I was coming in, and it did improve my mood.
It wasn't just the thought of sharing the couch with us.
So good tips, I thought, for all of you
Here we
here
go.
at News Breakfast.
Okay.
See, I hear this, and here's the Beach Boys. I'd listen to this and waft back to sleep. Then that's my day.
What alarm do you have, Michael?
Well, I can play my alarm after this. This I tell you
I've
what.
got one that's called Silk, but there's nothing silk-like about it,
Yeah.
in fact. And whenever I hear it somewhere else on someone else's phone, I have a
Kind of
very physical reaction
Mild
to
panic
it.
attack, yes. Well, this story says it's a survey of 50 people that they've looked at, and the transition can be nicer with a more melodic tone, and with that beep, 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 you kind of, it can increase anxiety.
I'm dying to know what
Wanna
his
hear my
is.
alarm?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we're ready.
It's an Australian singer, works all the time. I'm up and I'm ready to seize the day.
Who is that?
That is horrendous.
What is
It's a
that?
Jimmy Barnes alarm. Seriously, no, it works. It works all the time.
Michael,
Oh, I bet it does.
I'm not sure that's what they had in mind. Yeah,
Nikki's not a
what
great
is-
fan, but it's effective. It is brutal but effective.
I mean, while this story is about putting you in a good mood, I do think the main thing about alarm is it working and waking you up. So
Yeah,
I'm
true.
not sure that was
Works.
covered.
Because there's nothing worse than sleeping
Missing it.
through it. That is guaranteed to put you in a bad mood.
Anyway, we're all here, so our
We're all
alarms are
here.
working.
Jimmy did the trick this morning.
Oh, that's just given me the heebie-jeebies. I don't even ever want to hear that again. Thank you very much for coming in, Ben.
Thanks, Lisa.
You know
Thank you,
we're going to be
Michael.
talking about alarms now for the rest of the program.
You've been. Thank you, Lisa. Most importantly, thank you, Jimmy. Now, canteens can be a major source of rubbish, but one school in